The metallic surface of the alien training planet reflected harsh blue-tinted light across endless rocky terrain.
Captain J. Park stood motionless, her silhouette cutting a sharp profile against the stark landscape. Lieutenant Dong Kim remained beside her, his survival gear meticulously checked and rechecked. They represented humanity's first serious attempt at the Galactic Confederation's legendary survival course, a test so brutal that no species had ever completed it in its entirety. Thousands of advanced civilizations had tried and failed spectacularly, their recruits broken within weeks by environmental challenges that seemed designed to crush hope and spirit. The alien commanders watched through thick reinforced windows, their multiple appendages twitching with a mixture of curiosity and condescension. To them, humans were a newly discovered species, primitive, unpredictable, and seemingly insignificant in the grand galactic hierarchy.
Jay's team consisted of just 2 members, herself and Dong. While other recruitment groups arrived with massive teams and complex equipment, they carried minimal gear and displayed an unsettling calm. Their dark eyes continuously scanned the environment, processing information with machine-like precision. The training ground stretched across multiple terrains, toxic valleys, radiation-saturated mountains, zero-oxygen zones, and regions with gravitational fluctuations that could crush an unprepared organism within seconds. Each section represented a different survival challenge, carefully engineered to test physical endurance, mental resilience, and adaptive capabilities. Alien instructors had designed this course expecting total failure. Their historical records showed a 99.8% elimination rate across all recruited species. Humans were expected to be just another statistic, another footnote in the vast records of galactic exploration. What the aliens didn't understand was the fundamental nature of human survival. Generations of evolution on Earth's most challenging environments had hardwired something extraordinary into human DNA, an almost supernatural ability to adapt, overcome, and persist. Dong adjusted his compact survival pack, which contained tools modified and redesigned by their team. Where standard equipment might fail, human ingenuity would create solutions. Each piece of gear represented not just technology, but a philosophy of survival that transcended conventional understanding. The first test zone began to activate. Massive environmental generators started humming, creating artificial conditions that would simulate extreme planetary scenarios. Toxic gases began to swirl, radiation levels spiked, and gravitational pressures started fluctuating. Most species would have immediately sought shelter or protection. Jay and Dong simply observed, their breathing steady, their movements calculated and precise. The alien commanders leaned closer to their observation panels. Something was different about these humans. Their body language suggested not fear, but a cold, analytical readiness that seemed almost predatory. As the first environmental challenge intensified, most recruitment teams would have triggered emergency protocols. Jay's team remained absolutely calm. They began moving with a synchronization that suggested years of training, though they had only been a unit for months. Dong's hand moved almost imperceptibly, making minute adjustments to their gear. Jay's eyes continuously scanned the environment, her brain processing potential scenarios and potential responses faster than the alien tracking systems could comprehend. The first test was designed to be unbeatable. Toxic atmospheric conditions, coupled with rapid temperature drops and extreme radiation, had historically eliminated 85% of all recruits within the first hour. But Jay and Dong moved like they were taking a casual walk, their specialized protective gear, modified beyond standard specifications, functioning perfectly. Little did the alien commanders know that this was just the beginning. Humanity had arrived, and they were about to rewrite every single rule of galactic survival. The test had begun. And nothing would ever be the same again. The toxic atmosphere swirled with dangerous radioactive particles, creating a landscape that would instantly kill most known species. Jay and Dong moved through the environment like ghosts, their modified survival gear working in perfect harmony with their strategic thinking. Alien instructors watched in growing confusion as the human team approached each challenge with a calculated precision that defied all their expectations. Where previous recruits had fallen within minutes, these two humans seemed to be treating the most extreme survival scenario like a routine training exercise. Dong's hands moved quickly, adjusting their protective equipment.
He had spent weeks redesigning standard issue gear, incorporating materials and techniques that pushed the boundaries of conventional survival technology. Each modification was a small act of rebellion against the standard protocols that had limited other species.
Jay's mind worked like a complex computer, analyzing the environmental data faster than the alien tracking systems could process.
She recognized patterns in the radiation levels, understanding how to navigate the most dangerous zones with minimal risk.
Her background in extreme environment research gave her an edge that no alien instructor could have anticipated. The first psychological test was designed to create internal conflict.
It introduced communication barriers, simulated equipment failures, and presented scenarios that would typically cause team members to turn against each other. But Jay and Dawn's bond was something the alien designers couldn't comprehend. Where most teams would argue, they communicated through subtle gestures. Where others would blame, they problem-solved. Their understanding went beyond words. It was a connection forged through shared purpose and absolute trust. Radiation levels spiked dramatically. The environment became a churning mess of toxic gases and deadly particle streams. Alien observers leaned closer to their monitoring screens, expecting to see the humans finally show signs of weakness.
Instead, Dong pulled out a small device he had personally engineered.
It began to neutralize the radiation, creating a protective bubble around them that defied all known scientific principles. Jay simultaneously adjusted their movement, finding micropaths through the most dangerous zones that seemed to dance between molecular gaps. The psychological stress intensified.
Holographic projections created scenarios designed to break their mental resolve.
False communication failures, simulated life-threatening situations, potential betrayal scenarios. Each test was more complex than the last.
But Jay and Dawn remained unbreakable.
They recognized the tests for what they were: challenges to be understood and overcome. Where other teams would see obstacles, they saw puzzles waiting to be solved. Alien instructors began to whisper among themselves. Their communication was a complex series of color changes and subtle appendage movements.
Something unprecedented was happening.
These humans were not just surviving, they were mastering a course that had defeated the most advanced species in the galaxy.
Dawn's modified radiation shield began to interact with the environment in ways the alien designers had never predicted. It wasn't just blocking radiation, it was learning from it, adapting to its complex patterns. Each moment made their protection stronger, more efficient. Jay's analytical approach turned every challenge into a mathematical problem.
She calculated risks, predicted environmental shifts, and found solutions that seemed to bend the very rules of survival. Her mind worked like a living computer, processing information at speeds that made the alien tracking systems look primitive.
Hours passed.
What should have been a grueling test became something closer to a walk in the park for the human team. They moved through increasingly complex scenarios with a grace that was both beautiful and terrifying. The alien commanders exchanged worried glances.
These humans were not just another recruitment team.
They represented something entirely new, a species that didn't just survive, but transformed survival into an art form. As the first set of challenges concluded, Jay looked at Dong and gave a slight nod. They were just getting started. The alien training ground had transformed into a proving ground for human potential. By the third day, what was meant to be a year-long survival nightmare had become nothing more than a complex puzzle for Jay and Dong.
Their approach was unlike anything the Galactic Confederation had ever witnessed.
Where standard issue equipment would typically fail, they saw opportunity. A broken communication device became a power generator. A torn protective layer was repurposed into an advanced filtration system.
Each piece of equipment told a story of human innovation. Dong's technical mind worked like a living computer.
He could look at a seemingly useless piece of metal and transform it into a critical survival tool. His fingers moved with surgical precision, breaking down and rebuilding equipment in ways that defied the original design specifications. The alien observation team watched in stunned silence as he turned what looked like random components into life-saving devices.
Jay's strategic thinking complemented Dong's technical skills perfectly.
She could anticipate environmental challenges before they fully developed, creating solutions that seemed to predict the very nature of their surroundings. Her mind worked like a complex algorithm, processing survival scenarios faster than the most advanced alien tracking systems.
The environment became increasingly hostile.
Gravitational shifts that would crush most organisms, atmospheric conditions that would dissolve standard protective gear, radiation levels that would obliterate cellular structures, none of these seemed to slow the human team. Where other species would have long since collapsed, Jay and Dong maintained peak physical performance. Their bodies moved with an efficiency that suggested years of training, though they had been a team for mere months. Each step was calculated, each movement purpose-driven.
Alien instructors began to panic. Their most complex challenges were being dismantled like simple children's puzzles. The psychological stress tests that had broken thousands of recruits seemed to make Jay and Dong even more focused. Their team dynamic was something the alien designers couldn't comprehend, a perfect blend of individual skill and collective purpose.
Dong pulled apart a communication device, its alien technology complex and seemingly incomprehensible. Within minutes, he had not only understood its core functionality but had modified it to work more efficiently than its original design. He created a communication system that could penetrate environmental barriers that had previously been considered impenetrable.
Jay analyzed the environmental data, finding patterns that even the most advanced alien tracking systems had missed.
She understood the subtle interactions between different environmental factors, predicting challenges before they fully materialized.
Her approach turned survival into a scientific art form.
The training ground became their playground. Toxic zones that would kill most species became mere obstacles to navigate. Radiation levels that would obliterate cellular structures were neutralized through ingenious modifications.
Gravitational shifts that would crush most organisms became interesting challenges to overcome. Alien commanders watched in growing horror.
These humans were not just surviving, they were mastering a course designed to be unbeatable. Every challenge was met with a combination of technical innovation, strategic thinking, and an almost supernatural ability to adapt. By the end of the third day, what was supposed to be a year-long survival course had become nothing more than an interesting problem to solve.
Jay and Dong moved through the environment with a calm that was both beautiful and terrifying.
The Galactic Confederation had expected another species to fail. Instead, they were witnessing the emergence of something entirely new, a species that didn't just survive, but transformed survival into an art form. As the third day concluded, Jay looked at Dong with a slight smile.
They were just warming up. The real test was yet to come. The alien communication networks erupted with a chaos unlike anything they had experienced before. Hundreds of commanders, representatives, and senior officials watched in absolute disbelief as the human team continued to demolish every single survival challenge with an efficiency that defied all known scientific understanding. Their tracking systems couldn't comprehend what was happening.
Where most species would struggle, Jay and Dong moved like they were taking a casual morning walk through a city park. Each environmental challenge that was designed to be impossible became nothing more than a minor inconvenience for the human team.
Dong's technical modifications had transformed their equipment into something that seemed to transcend current technological limitations. What started as standard-issue survival gear had become a marvel of adaptive engineering.
He continuously adjusted their protective systems, creating solutions that made the alien tracking algorithms look primitive and outdated.
Jay's strategic mind processed environmental data faster than the most advanced alien computers.
She anticipated challenges before they fully formed, turning potentially deadly scenarios into mere navigation problems. Her ability to read environmental patterns was so precise that it seemed almost supernatural.
The observation room became a place of growing tension.
Alien commanders whose species had dominated galactic exploration for thousands of years now watched two humans completely rewrite every known survival protocol. Their tentacles twisted in confusion, their complex communication systems buzzing with urgent discussions. "Impossible," muttered one senior commander, his multicolored skin shifting through shades of deep purple and angry red. "No species can perform at this level."
But the humans were doing exactly that. Psychological tests designed to break team dynamics only seemed to strengthen Jay and Dong's connection.
Where other recruits would argue or panic, they communicated through subtle gestures and shared understanding. Their teamwork was so seamless that it appeared they could read each other's minds. Radiation zones that would instantly kill most organisms became nothing more than interesting environmental challenges.
Gravitational shifts that could crush molecular structures were navigated with casual precision. Toxic atmospheres were neutralized through ingenious gear modifications that seemed to dance between science and pure human creativity. Dong pulled apart another piece of equipment, his hands moving with surgical precision. Within minutes, he had not only understood its complex alien technology but had improved its functionality beyond its original design. Each modification was a small rebellion against established technological limitations. Jay's eyes continuously scanned the environment, her brain processing information at speeds that made the alien tracking systems look like ancient calculators. She found micropaths through dangerous zones, understanding environmental interactions at a level that suggested something more than mere scientific training. As they approached the final stages of the survival course, Jay turned to Dong with a calm smile. "We're almost done," she said, as if they were completing a routine morning exercise. Her casual tone sent chills through the observation room. The alien commanders exchanged worried glances. These humans were not just another recruitment team. They represented something entirely unexpected, a species that didn't just survive, but transformed survival into an art form of pure efficiency and innovation. Communication channels between different alien departments began to light up. Emergency meetings were being called. The implications of what they were witnessing were profound and potentially earth-shattering. Humanity had just shown that everything the Galactic Confederation knew about survival might need to be completely rewritten. And they were just getting started. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Confederation's Central Command was unlike any meeting space in known space. Massive holographic displays surrounded intricate architectural structures that defy traditional understanding of design and function. Alien representatives from hundreds of different species sat in stunned silence. Jay and Dong stood at the center of this enormous chamber, looking as calm and collected as if they had just completed a routine morning workout. Their survival gear was slightly worn but functional, a testament to their incredible journey through what was supposed to be an impossible survival course. 24 hours earlier, they had begun a test that no species had ever completed. A year-long survival challenge designed to push biological and technological limits to their absolute breaking point. Alien designers had crafted this course believing it to be unbeatable, a ultimate test of species potential. The human team had finished it in just one day. Tentacled administrators shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Reptilian commanders adjusted their complex communication devices, hoping to find some error in the data. Crystalline strategists refracted light in patterns that suggested complete intellectual confusion. Dong's slight grin seemed to unsettle them even more. Where most species would have shown exhaustion or stress after such a challenge, he looked like he was ready for another round. His technical mind was already analyzing the equipment, thinking about potential improvements. Jay stood perfectly still, her dark eyes scanning the room. She could read the confusion, the fear, and the growing respect in the alien representative's body language. Humanity had just changed the entire understanding of species evaluation in a single moment. The survival course had been more than just a physical challenge. It tested psychological resilience, technological adaptation, team dynamics, and pure survival instinct. Every scenario was designed to break recruits mentally and physically. Radiation zones, gravitational shifts, toxic atmospheres, psychological stress tests, nothing had slowed them down. "Shall we go again?" Dong's casual question hung in the air like a challenge. Complete silence followed. No alien had ever asked to repeat the most brutal survival test in galactic history. The very suggestion was both terrifying and fascinating. Senior commanders exchanged complex communication signals. Their appendages twisted in patterns that suggested a mix of fear, respect, and growing understanding. Humanity was no longer just another newly discovered species. They were a potential game-changer in galactic exploration. The implications were massive. If humans could complete this course in a day, what other limitations could they potentially break? What other challenges might they overcome? The entire framework of species evaluation was about to be rewritten. Jay's mind was already processing the next potential challenges.
Dong was mentally cataloging the technical modifications they could make to their equipment. They weren't just survivors, they were innovators, adapters, problem solvers. The alien representatives continued to stare, their advanced sensory systems trying to comprehend what had just happened. A newly discovered species had just demonstrated capabilities that challenged everything they knew about biological and technological potential. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. And nothing would ever be the same again. Dong's grin widened slightly. Jay remained perfectly calm. The room remained silent, waiting for someone to break the tension. The future had just walked into the room. And it looked human.